All right, we're almost there. Perfect. All right. I'm going to change up two things here. There we go. Oh, Zoom's going to act all glitchy on us now.
What's the topic tonight, Jackie?
Ooh, tonight we're talking about timelines. Timelines have been coming into my field big time this week. Just um, shifting timelines, what really are timelines, kind of understanding some of the things that, welcome Gabby, welcome Samara, some of the things that have been popping up for people, especially this week. This week was when we look, I always like to look at the cosmic influences that are happening, right? And we had Jupiter kind of come into alliance with the moon this week in a really beautiful way. And what I was really noticing with people is that this kind of really strong, um, these strong emotions, these strong feelings that were kind of coming into alignment again of where we were more like a couple of years ago. And all of a sudden, things just kind of started sort of being recognized by people and being noticed, that they kind of felt different almost. This week was kind of like big aha moments, and a lot of this with Jupiter's energy, it's kind of like getting us back into this direct recognition of our life's potential again. You know, where we kind of we have all these thoughts, right? They all of these, yes, I want this, but this comes in. Yes, I want this, but this comes in. All these sort of thoughts. And I've been talking a lot lately about Care Bears kept coming up, and the Care Bear stare, and you know, sort of that holding that intention and holding that intention. And what came through for me really clearly was when we're holding that intention, welcome Jesse, when we're holding that intention, it's actually holding us in the timeline that we're sort of meant to be. And we can actually jump timelines 100 times a minute if we allow ourselves to. And in talking to certain people, I have one client in particular who's just this beautiful gentleman. Um, he was like, "Yeah, all I did was I thought about this one thing, and I know this, like he just loves being in and around the mountains. Like he's at his in his happy place when he's in the mountains, and he's never been able to explain why or understand why, but the mountains are just like they just call him. He just gets grounded. He just like he can sit out there and go, no matter what's going on, if he's in and around mountains. And he lives nowhere near mountains and has no mountains anywhere in his sort of vicinity. And I was like, just look it up. Just look up jobs in your fields in the mountains. Like, just, have fun with Google. Let AI play with it a little bit. Just put your intentions out there. Imagine, in his reality, well, I'm nowhere near mountains. However, in our creating our timelines, in creating our path, our divine path, when we pay attention to those little things, it's like if we can hold that intention long enough to stay in that, I just love the mountains versus I'm nowhere near the mountains, things can happen. And it was literally the next day he called me up and said, "You'll never guess what happened. My job actually offered me a position up in the mountains." And I'm like, ta-da, like he's like, but what if that's not the right choice? And I'm like, no, 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 let's not even go into that other time. Let's stay on this timeline. Let's hold that intention. Let's hold that energy for just a minute. What if all of these things, because things had been rough lately. Hi, beautiful. Things had been rough lately. Things have been, if we had just focused on reality, it would have been like, oh no, that my family will never go for that. I can't, we'd go into that sort of negative, not even negative, but those worries, those other thoughts that we have in reality in 3D. But it's really neat just in having him stay in that, like, what if that this was just all just meant to be, and what if, and this is one of the beautiful things that I've been really noticing, is that we want something, right? We really, really want something. But if it hasn't happened yet, it's like the universe has it ready for us. We made that order. We made that. I saw this waiter with the plate, like we ordered this beautiful, extravagant plate that has all these spices and all these different foods in it, and they're ready to bring it, but you went out for a smoke, or you went out to go see if there was a lineup at the other restaurant, because this restaurant's really slow, and you maybe even were out looking for the waiter who is just waiting for you to bring it there. There was something that wasn't quite in alignment just yet to bring this plate out. He may even have it, and he sees you deciding, no, you hate paprika now, so he's got to go take it back to be just remade a little bit without the paprika. Just these little, it was like this waiter, like, hey, Kate, just hold on. We'll just, yeah, I'm going to bring it out right away. She's just deciding that she wants peas in there. Can we put peas in here? I don't know. We could try and put peas in here. I mean, it wasn't really it's not in the dish, but that's okay. Maybe, like, all of these decisions that we make when we're kind of not holding that intention, when we're doubting ourselves, when we're thinking, I'm not worthy, they're going, oh no, hang on. She's not quite worthy, not quite ready at this yet, because this is in our field. These are these emotions, these feelings that we're emitting. And if we can just order the meal and know that this is exactly, we wanted that meal. We didn't know why. It felt really good. We just thought, yep, that's exactly what I want. I'm just going to order it, and I'm just going to wait for it. And I'm just going to enjoy it when it gets here. It comes, you get to enjoy it. You get to go, hey, I manifested that. Seeing a lot of these coaches and light workers and stuff lately, especially coming to the point where they've been like, I actually had really asked for this. I just had to kind of get out of my own way. And this is, I think, where we all get stuck, is that the only thing truly stopping us from really receiving what it is that we asked for is us simply getting in the way and not holding that intention, not holding that thought, not holding that timeline. And the things that came through about timelines were just like, whoa. There was, especially for light workers and people that are sort of doing this work, that have been doing this work for a little while, that have been, that are healers, that are star seeds, that are, the light workers or the energy workers in some way, shape, or form, however it may be, coaches. There was a massive jump, and this happened a couple of years ago when the world kind of halted and stopped, because on a collective level, everyone slowed the F down for a little while to be able to actually get into these quantum timelines of where they were supposed to be. And so many people have said COVID was actually the best thing that ever happened to me, because I was able to slow down and actually look at things, and actually kind of discover even what I want and what I felt. And there was one cosmic influencer that had mentioned that there was a jump 2 years forward. And so for some, it's kind of like they all of a sudden had this huge, giant leap 2 years forward. And for some of us, we actually were on this timeline about 2 years ago. But the more information we gathered, and the more we doubted ourselves, and the more we focused on what we didn't have, and the more we focused that we need this and this and that, and the more that we focused that we needed to let go of this, and the more we focused on all of the stories of the past that we now in this healing journey have been bringing up, actually brought us back to where we were about 2 years ago, when we kind of had some aha moments where we were really believing in ourselves, where we really knew what it is we wanted. And so for some, it was like this trajectory forwards 2 years. For some, it was a trajectory back, almost like we kind of got off the timeline a little bit here and there with all the pros and cons and all the wibble wobbles to get back onto this truest, highest timeline for ourselves. Now, this truest, highest timeline for ourselves is kind of like another analogy would be baking a cake, and you have it 3/4 of the way done in the oven, and you just decide, you know what, I'm too frustrated. I want cake. I ordered cake, whatever. I'm just going to eat the cake. And you pull the cake out and it's still all liquidy inside and it's not quite baked. And all the ingredients were there. We just had to maybe leave it a little longer until it was done. And so if we can have this patience and we can hold this intention, we know now with science, I mean, science is amazing. The upgrades and the updates that we have now and the things that we know now that we can truly create from holding a conscious thought, a conscious energy in a timeline that we know we're meant for by simply not allowing that wobble, or if we're noticing that wobble, notice that maybe you jumped a little timeline, but you can sort of jump right back in. Now, for some of us, we have had this. I like the chat here, and you guys feel free to chat in. It's the identity that stopped us before. However, we need to learn what the real identity is, right? Like what this identity of our truest, highest timeline, and actually start just being it, not being in that old identity, just start acting, right? We're still asking for what we want, manifesting what I don't want, right? We know what we want, but what are we actually holding the intention of? And that's how it just kind of, even just a little thought like but I don't see it yet, but I don't have it yet. It's really, this is, I think, what will almost help make things make a little bit more sense for you guys is realizing that when we are making those choices, we are on that timeline. So asking, what is in alignment with this timeline? What is that thought in alignment? Does that thought feel good to me? Is it satisfying? No. So we just simply, it's not that we have to erase it, like cancel that thought. Okay, I didn't have that thought, because now we're just bringing more attention to it right away, right? It's literally getting back to that timeline that we want to be on, that train that we want to be on. We're going to be literally consciously choosing our timeline and our path in a meditation tonight. But what I wanted to share with you guys is some of the cool things that have happened where you've jumped timelines that you may not have even known that you were jumping timelines, right? So if we get there and we don't know how to handle it, sometimes that's a really good question, right? I don't think that whole analogy comes back. We're never given what we can't handle, right? And there is something in our field that still kind of sometimes needs to be worked through a little bit. Sometimes it's just truly that it isn't ready. What if it isn't ready? What will happen is we'll often lose it again, right? So we have to actually kind of turn it around a little bit. And what that is, that wobble right away, is what if I don't know how to handle it? Who says you don't know how to handle it? I think if you were to ask me, I know you can handle it, because trust me, it wouldn't be happening if you couldn't handle it. What if this is exactly what you were waiting for and the timing could not be more perfect? The only thing stopping us is us thinking that maybe we can't handle it, that maybe it's too soon, maybe we're not ready for it. If we can shift that thought almost immediately to like, yes, this is coming to me because I am ready for it. These thoughts came to me because I am ready for it. The beautiful thing is that if we're not ready for it, or say it's something that doesn't belong in our timeline, I love that. Manifestations of a country house. These things, this country house, it's there. It's in your field because it's in your timeline. You can see it, you can feel it, you can taste it. It's there. Might not even be fully in your reality yet, but it's in your timeline. And that's all we need to know. Yeah, this has all been moving me towards my timeline. What if we took every single thing and thought, What if this is absolutely the best thing that could have ever happened to me? I went through some big resistance last week, and I knew this was because this push, I didn't know this push was coming, but I held faith that the resistance was coming up, because that usually means we're ready for a big shift. We're ready to jump in that timeline that's meant for our highest true self and stay there. And what happens is the more we can do this, the more we stay there. The more we can feel this, the more we stay there. The way we jump timelines is by making a choice and a decision. Have you ever had a psychic, a really talented psychic even, tell you exactly what's going to happen? And she's reading you on that exact timeline right then and there. So certain things that she may have said, or he may have said, or sort of instilled in your field may not have been for your greatest timeline, but it may have been the reading that you had at that exact moment. Have you guys ever woken up or had a day where you just feel like, I swear my neighbor's car was a different shade of green, or this tree just looks a little different, or colors will look a little different to you each day, or you've lost something and you just cannot find it no matter what, or you have a series of deja vus where it's like those synchronicities are the indicator that you are on the highest timeline. When you have something happens, you do that in your own house. I love it. Absolutely. Because honestly, Margie, you've been shifting timelines big time. And so you'll walk around your own house and it'll look slightly different. People will see TVs look completely different. They're like, did I always have that kind of TV? Like they really, it's their timeline. This is us in our 3D type bodies experiencing this on a greater quantum level, trying to wrap our little brains around what's really going on. Because timelines in themselves are on a quantum basis how you are viewing things, how what your beliefs are, what your choices are, what your decisions are. And that can be really simply stated. We're making a choice to be in the victim mode, or be in a negative type of feeling about it. We can shift that, right? We can choose to shift that. It's not always easy, especially sometimes when stuff's hitting the fan. But cosmically, right now, we are being so guided and shifted and so easily able to get on this timeline that we're truly meant for, that truly was meant to be our path. It's almost so easy to see it that I couldn't not do this session tonight, just to sort of help us understand this. Now, for some of you, I don't know about all of you, but I know a lot of you have been in the magnetic mind. Like you've been doing recodes, we've been doing sessions, we've been doing, even if you've just been with me and we've done some meditations. When we kind of go somewhere else, you start to feel your body relax a little bit. You get into alpha state, which alpha is kind of like that when we first wake up, when things are very sort of neutral. They're not going one way or the other. You're not really focused on the thoughts of the day before, the stories of the life before, the stories of past relationships. You're not really focused on anything yet. You're still kind of dreamy. You're still kind of floaty. You're still kind of, that is when the subconscious is very pliable. It's very moldable. This is where we'll experience little twitches, like you'll feel all of a sudden a little twitch in the muscle, like a little, like someone's just like kind of like touching you tightly, like lightly, or you'll feel a little twitch, like your arm will do a little twitch, or for some they'll have full-on experiences where they'll see other things, like they'll see ascended masters, they'll see colors, they'll hear a frequency shift in their ears, they'll kind of get to a state where they're like, I wasn't quite, like I wasn't sleeping, I was listening to everything you were saying, but I almost felt like I was not a part of my body. That's that alpha state. Then there's one that's a little bit more intense, which is the theta state. And the theta state is exciting because that's the one where it goes into the deep grooves of the subconscious, and it really allows for change. And what it really allows for is a timeline jump. And so people will come back from their meditations And I hear it. There was one that I did with the new moon, and it's funny because I didn't even realize how big the new moon energy was at the time for aligning us again with this true timeline that we're supposed to be on. And so if we were still kind of living in a lot of a lot of stuff going on around us, and allowing ourselves to kind of get negated down by some of those negative self-doubt thoughts, or those thoughts like, oh, I don't even know what I meant to do anymore, all of this kind of stuff, right? um, what we were actually doing is when we went into that theta state and we're almost out completely, like they woke up and they went, I didn't even hear what went on there, like I think I was sleeping. That is the theta state that is causing great change, that is actually shutting off the phone, shutting off the computer so it can kind of reset itself. That theta state is where we do the big quantum jumping. And so a lot of times I've heard when people are in recode, they'll say, like I totally went somewhere else. Like, Chris, why did I fall asleep? And he's like, well, sometimes the parts of the subconscious need to kind of shut things down so that the other parts can hear. And this is true. There are parts of us that are just waking up, that are becoming strong, that are understanding our greatest, truest timeline and where we're meant to be and where we're wanting to go. And because of that, that theta state is kind of like the key in allowing that to happen. So there are times even, and I know one of you is on tonight, where I've been like, let yourself actually go into that theta state, because we want to kind of be sort of cognizant of what's going on. But sometimes sleep meditations and those things that we allow ourselves to do, what it's doing is it's truly shutting off those negative programs. It can also shut off the positive programs if we're focusing on nothing. If we're focusing on a fan or the sound of the frequency in the back of our room, or if we're focusing on a water dripping from the faucet, or if we're focusing on just some sort of random sound in our house, what's happening is you're not manifesting in any way now. You're not manifesting the negative. You're not manifesting the positive. It allows you to reset. It allows you to get back to this higher timeline that we're sort of meant to be on. And cosmically right now, that's going to be our automatic default. So if we don't stop ourselves from getting to this automatic default, we can actually get there and live there by thinking, yeah, like despite the limited beliefs of not being capable of fixing stuff, I've learned that the universe is helping me with these house challenges. What if you needed to be able to know how to fix certain stuff to be in your cabin? Yeah. What if we needed to actually be in the mountains to find this job that was just waiting for us all these years, but we kept ourselves held back? Yeah. What if even terrible things like, things happening where people are kind of falling apart, all this negative talk, all of this, people around us doing all this stuff that's bringing us down. What I've noticed is that right now is about choosing to take the high road or take the low road and really look at ourselves. Notice what would be getting in our way. Notice that we are ascending like crazy right now. I've just got goosebumps from my head to my toe. Now my cat's trying to crawl on my lap. They feel it when that field just like zings right in. All of a sudden, they just need some of it. I'm sure you guys have noticed that even when you're on your higher timeline, your animals are going to be on you. They're going to be like, yes, this is the way we want to feel. I love this frequency. Use that as a bit of a tell. And the other thing that I've noticed with people is when we do a meditation or when we do something where they can do a bit of this timeline shifting, this quantum jumping, they look different after. And if you guys as coaches have done sessions with someone and you look at them and after, you're like, you almost wished that you took a picture of them before you started the session and after you had it, because there was a total timeline shift. And on a timeline shift, you'll see people, they will hold themselves different. They will look different. Their faces will actually look different. Their demeanor is different. Things around them are different. They'll lose things or find things that are different. Like it really actually happens on a huge basis. Have you ever even woken up from a sleep where you only had a short time to sleep? It was like maybe 20 minutes, you have like a little power nap, and you wake up and you're like shaky, and you're kind of, you don't feel quite right. Things feel kind of different. You don't even know what day it is. You're not sure. You're really like, I don't even know. Like, is it nighttime? Is it day? I think it's nighttime. No, it's daytime. What day is it? And you're so confused. That was jumping timelines. That was you allowing your body to reset. And the dreams this week have been amazing, profound, people visiting us in our dreams, even people that have passed, people that have been in your past. They'll all of a sudden be popping through when that reset button sort of happens, when we allow ourselves to go into some of these states. Yeah, you thought the veil was thin now. Wait till the spring equinox. This new moon was preparing us for this full moon. Full moon's next week, Monday. That's where we get to kind of finish purging things. This is all in divine timing. This is happening right now to prepare us, because as light workers, as people that are on a path of ascension, that want a better life, that want not something that's even necessarily that different, but they just know deep down inside that they're just meant for more than this, right? Like there just really is more. And so, um, still not dreaming. These dreams, I'm betting they'll come this week, Jesse. I'm betting they'll come, because on a collective level, it's happening. And instead of saying still not dreaming, open it up. What if I'm just ready for the best dream I've ever had tonight? I am so ready to just dream tonight. I'm ready to, because our language is our codes. If we're still saying, I'm just not where I want to be, I'm still stuck, I'm just, um, but I'm still so broke, that is where the energy is going. That is the timeline that we're choosing for ourselves when we hold those words. And meditating is the key. Like, I'm talking daily. If we're going to do anything this week coming up, it is meditating, because meditating, it's going to stop that language one way or the other. Even if we have, if we feel like we can't stop the language, that meditation is going to allow that language to stop for just a moment. It's no longer in the field. We have the opportunity to shift into that timeline. So even with this meditation that we're going to do tonight, it's not going to be specific to moon cycles, to anything. It's going to be very specific to the choices that we're making, to the higher timeline, to just allowing ourselves to see it and feel it. And what if, instead of, oh yeah, alternate realities are appearing, they really are, like, and it's when I see, it's kind of like when I did massage therapy for so long. After 25 years of doing massage therapy, it was like everyone would kind of call on the same day, saying of the same pain, saying of the same things going on. Pressures were really related, patterns were related, weather had to do with it. There was all these things. Now in coaching and mindset, the cosmic influence has, I'm so excited. I'm just talking way too fast. The cosmic influences have been really exciting for me, because it's kind of like, it's raining, right? So you can actually use your umbrella if you want to be, you don't want to get wet. If you want to go full on in, it's going to rain. It's kind of like, things are happening. So if we know this power is here, what if we really chose to embrace it this week? What if and this is why you're falling asleep. Yes, Jesse, this is it. You're falling asleep because your body wants to shift that timeline. So let yourself. It needs to do this shifting without the subconscious mind, because for some of us, especially when we have gone through a lot in our life, there is the collective, they call it like an auric read or an auric library. Pardon me. That is our past. It is where we're from. We're going to shift timelines, but World War I still happened. We're going to shift timelines to where our higher energies are pointing us, but we still had a shite bringing up. We still had all these lessons that we had to learn, but they were all for a reason, because we wouldn't have the thoughts, our heart, whatever breaks our heart so much that we just want to make a change in the world about, is what really is part of our true journey, because it breaks our heart enough to not want to watch other people go through it. For me, it was, it was feeling, having suicide and things like that so close to home all the time. People just struggling so hard. It was like, I can't bear to see people have this pain. Teenagers going through issues where, having that know-how to be able to empower themselves rather than, us growing up, it was all about take your power away, control, control, control. And we're in this society right now where it's all about fear-based and control. And they're, making all these, they, whatever it is, World Economic Forum, people that know all of this about science know that if they put enough thoughts into our head and if they keep repeating it, it's going to enter into our field and into our timelines. And that is what is going to happen. And so that's why I think a lot of us a couple years ago sort of went on this mission, went on this expansion journey. It really is. And that is true. And this is where some of these things that just don't feel good are going to be like, ugh, I love the word cringy. It's one of my favorites. Working in a public school system as teachers, like the people that teach, they just want to enlighten. They just want to expand these kids' souls' journeys, right? That's why you're there. And think about it, you're there because of the public school being so constrictive and so restrictive that you are that light there for them. Think about how many kids have probably even said, you're the only reason I come here. You're the only reason you're the best part of my day. That gives me goosebumps going all the way down. It doesn't necessarily mean that that has to be the job for us forever, whatever it is, but that is part of your soul expansion, knowing that you can make a difference for kids. Maybe it's not in the school system. Maybe we have to let that part of the vibration not be a part of our timeline anymore. Maybe that just really isn't fitting, but something else is. So what is it? Oh my gosh. Maybe you're going to start up a wilderness school, a rewilding children, a rewilding adults, a rewild, who knows? But when we are doing the things that we love, when we are it's programmed, everything is programmed. And don't fool yourself to think it's not, right? It's just that a lot of us feel that deep connection with our truth and can't necessarily go on that merry way of just riding that train. And so this is why we get to choose our own timeline. We get to choose our own train. We get to start putting the good things in. It's not that we have to dig all the bad things out. It's not that we have to forget everything that we've learned. We're just literally rewriting it. We're rewriting the timeline with everything that's happened in a brand new way. And we have that cosmic influence to kind of be able to do that right now. Last week we had, got lots of stuff moving through here. Whew, take a breath, Jackie. Last week, we had lots of shifts happening with Pluto, especially. Pluto is like this harmonizing planet, right? That's kind of like the sort of the death of old things, the new beginnings. And so some major upheavals were happening for people last week in major ways. And every time, except for, and I even got carried away with it myself, it took me like a whole day of literally meditating. I actually crawled into my bed. I put my blankets over my head. I put on a meditation and I was just like, this is what I need to do right now. I just need to cocoon. Like I just needed to shut out all the negativity because it's still going on no matter what. What we were pushed to do last week is to take the high road, is to notice when people are talking, when people are gossiping, when people are going down a road, are you going down that road with them? Are you going down that timeline with them? Are you jumping into their timelines just because it's so inundating, just because it's so impending, because it's so there? It's so, this is where we truly get to choose. And when we are empowered and really truly get to choose, this is where we finally get to dial in the timeline that we want to be on, that we are meant for, that we go to as our default, and be able to stay there. Because if we were given, if that meal was brought, and we got it with paprika, we'd just be disappointed and likely send it back. Or we're not going to enjoy it like it's meant to be. Or we're going to eat that cake and be sick, and we're going to be sad that we didn't just leave it in the oven a little bit longer. We just had to be a little bit more patient. And that patience comes from being patient with ourselves, being patient for us to learn some of these things that really come into our field that aren't satisfying us, and that we just really are simply choosing to not bring in and leave in our field anymore. When we ask ourselves, is this an emotion? Is this satisfying to me in any way? And this is where the gurus say, oh, that negativity doesn't even come to me anymore. It's truly because they're on that timeline. That's their default. And they're not jumping timelines with those little thoughts of, oh, but I'm still, oh, but I'm, we have to literally notice that when we are jumping on board and taking the lower road, taking what doesn't feel good and still doing it, you know, I even think of our health, right? Like, I struggle so much with, well, I should be doing my lenses every day. I should be being consistent. I should be really, but when we look at the reality of things, our soul is on this journey, right? Yes. And it's that's the ego choosing, right? Our soul is on this journey. It wants to be healthy. It wants to be, can I really not look at what I'm putting into my body? Can I really, I even laugh at myself sometimes, like, I'm on my third coffee for the day. Put it away, Jackie. Go get your water. Like, we almost have to be playing this game with ourselves. Is that the timeline you want to be on? Because we make these choices, and every time we make a choice, it is bringing us onto the timeline that we're simply choosing. Oh, the soul's crying so loudly right now. Such beautiful words. Such beautiful words. Who said that? Was that Heather? Yeah. The soul is, it's not only crying, it's like, what are you doing? And we're just like, oh, I know. But cosmically, we're really being pushed because this last little push, it's like, okay, in January, we were on it. We decided what we wanted to do, but January went super speed fast, almost so fast that we kind of went to our old defaults of wobbling. Like when I heard my client talking about his the mountains, right? Okay, like it was funny if I was, I joke because I'm always about the Care Bears, right? If I was, it was like Sunshine Bear, Grumpy Bear, Sunshine Grumpy Bear, like I couldn't even keep up with the conversation because he was jumping timelines so darn quick. It was like, stop and breathe, stop and breathe. Look at this. This is amazing. This is exactly what you manifest, exactly what you wanted. Look, this is amazing. What if all of this was just to kind of bring you to this point? Because had it happened, had he been offered that job last year in the mountains, he wouldn't have taken it. He would not have been in receiving mode. And no matter where you look and no matter what kind of information you get out there, it's all about the 5 steps or the 3 steps, depending on how you put it. But it's basically choose what you want. Choose what you want. Just what do you want? I just love this. I just want to play sports. I just really want a healthy body. I just really want to be like, I want to look in the mirror and love myself. I don't like, am I looking in the mirror and I'm like, oh, this double chin, that's not what I want. So I'm just refusing to let myself do that to myself anymore. I'm refusing to let myself beat myself up anymore. It's like if I look and I don't like what I see, I'm turning the other cheek. You know how Jesus says, right? Turn the other cheek. Make a different choice. Stop doing it. You wouldn't let your best friend say that to you. You wouldn't say that to anybody else, right? The boundaries, the self-love, it's all about really respecting ourselves, um, knowing ourselves, knowing what it is that we want, and just truly stepping in alignment to that. Keeping our choices in alignment with it. Not so much like, how do I align myself with $1 million? But what would that $1 million give me? How do I align myself with calmness and groundedness and safety and security and peace and joy and abundance. And oh, what do I feel abundant about? What about, oh, I was just able to do all these sports things with my kids today. I was able to, we can hop in our car, we can go anywhere we want. It's, like just literally turning it into that, shifting your frequency, bringing it into gratitude, bringing it into appreciation. And more than anything, what about anticipation? What if every shitty thing that happens, you could actually go, huh, that could just about be the best thing that ever happened to me? Even if you don't believe, what if you thought that for just a moment instead of feeling like everyone's going crackers? I can't deal with this world right now. I don't know what's happening. I'm out. I give up. What about thinking, how is this showing up in my life? Am I is there chaos in other ways? Am I taking the high road? Am I being the best person did I respond how I wanted to respond? If you have to respond to something very quickly, it's so good to just take a quick breath, to take a moment in time and ask, what frequency is this response coming from? Is it in that wanting of it, or is it that not having of it? Because every emotion is two things. You cannot go here if you're here. You cannot be here if you're here. So we need to choose to be here. We need to choose to stay here, right? It's yours if you feel it, right? These things It's a Wonderful Life, right? And even look at that movie title, It's a Wonderful Life. Do you think that Hollywood didn't know that that's what they were creating? When you guys watch movies now, do you not see them from a different place? It's because you've shifted timelines, and you're shifting timelines every day. And we get to choose that when we're on. The more we give any kind of airtime, airplay to any of the stuff that we don't want to need to be thinking about anymore. If you even notice an old story and I can't have that because I lost it before. No, I can have that. That's in my timeline. What if you chose that it's in your timeline? What if you really chose? And so before I get too carried away, because I could just talk about this forever and ever and ever and ever, let's explore, let's have some fun in our alpha states, in maybe even our theta state if we're going to allow our bodies to get there. And let's just imagine really creating this timeline that we wanted. We talk about those 5 steps. Really choosing what we want is number 1. Number 2 is feeling it. And we know this from neuroscience. Chris says that any program that you go into will say it. They'll say it in different ways. You need to feel it. You need to smell it. You need to hear it. You need to taste it, touch it. You need to be in it, be it, right? You need to encompass it in every way. That's step 2. Step 3 is looking at where things are at right now. This is a bridge. When those things are happening, when you get that call from your boss saying, hey, any chance you want to go work in the mountains? That's not even just a board in the bridge. That's like, brrr, that's the bridge unfolding in front of you. That is the drawbridge coming down so that gap can get closed. We feel like when we do this work that gap is so big and that we have to keep filling and filling and filling and filling. One of the other analogies that came to me this week was this: when I was out in my garden, I'd have a pail and it had some mud in the bottom, just some dried mud. And instead of trying to like rinse out and rinse out and rinse out and rinse out and spoon out and scoop out all this mud that was in, I would just take the garden hose and I would just blast it until that mud just literally, even if the pail was full, that mud would come out and the water would just get cleaner and cleaner and cleaner. And it was like seeing people as this beautiful glass clear vessel. and we just take a spoon of mud and just drop it in and mix it around and then spend the rest of our lives trying to spoon it out bit by bit, right? Just take your garden hose and just pour it over and watch what happens. It's magical. It's freaking magical. It's like all of the dirt just comes right on out and it just flows. So this is what we need to do. That garden hose is our good thoughts. That garden hose are those things that light us up. How many of us are still not doing the things that light us up? We're not going for those. The most profound thoughts I've heard from people all week were when they were out for that walk, or when they were doing their yoga, or when they were meditating, or when they napped, when they let themselves without feeling guilty, without feeling bad for napping, when they were playing, when they were painting. I have someone, he's 83, that I've been working with. He just started painting like 2 months ago, and already people like they're loving his stuff so much. He's got a museum showing his painting right now. He didn't even know how to paint. He's 83. He's like, I wouldn't believe it. I really wouldn't believe it. Right? He just allowed himself. Like it took him a lot. I've been probably working with him for like 2 years. And he won't do groups, he won't do nothing. But it like finally these things are shifting right now. And it's true, it can be so hard to allow for self-care when there's always the things. But this is it, Lisa. And welcome, Lisa, by the way. Nice to see you. This is where we get to take that high road for ourselves, not in a selfish way, not in a, we're not being like the queen and I deserve everything and you guys all deserve nothing. But it even came into my field like there's these people that really do feel like they deserve everything. And then there's the others that feel like, well, that's not right, So I'm going to end up, we all have our own different journeys. We all have our own different timelines. But what's really happening here is the people that have really been making this shift for the greater consciousness, for the collective, and we're making ripples for so many other people. We are being propelled forward right now. So if we have felt that it was a bit of a struggle, February was kind of like slow down, hoe down here. Let's just see what we're kind of missing. And last week, I'm betting that a lot of us saw these things right in front of us where it was undeniable, where we could actually make that choice. What kind of conversations am I having? What kind of things am I being brought into, and how am I handling it? Because these things really happened for a lot of people last week. There was some big, we'll call them lessons even. Hard to accept that I'm first. Biggest lesson in life, right? That whole put your mask on first seems so ridiculous. Like, and that was the thoughts around it for me forever. And still I struggle with this. And this is why I'm here with you guys right now, because I'm going through it with you. I had a hard week last week, but I could sleep at night knowing that I was taking the higher road, that I was making the decisions, that I was being the best version of myself that I could, minus a couple days where I kind of shit the bed. But that was what really propelled me forward to go, this is not satisfying. This does not feel good. When I started saying, I'm struggling, yeah, sometimes we do need to talk about that. But that's what I was putting out there, and that's where I was going. And as soon as I shifted it, it was like, boom, I had this crazy meditation. I woke up like shaking. The timelines have been just dropping in, the information, the analogies, the visions, the knowing exactly where I was going, and seeing that 2 years ago I was here. I really was. But there was so much that I thought I still didn't have. I wasn't ready. I wasn't quite ready. There was a lot of things about me that weren't quite ready, because had I had a group of 100 people and I was on Wednesday, just kind of like blah, feeling shit and still, doing this, that wouldn't have been good for 100 people. Luckily, it was only a few of us and we shifted out of that right away. We all just kind of, woo, like frequencies are huge. And when we're not able to manage our emotions, when we're not able to literally stay in that timeline as much as possible, we're not able to bring our work further. And then it was just like the lights just went on. I went back to my all my stuff, I was like, I remember being channeled in so strongly to do the chakras one at a time. And it was the perfect timing. And I just knew, and instead I was doubting myself. Do I know enough? And that's where all the energy is. It was like huge lights going on, just huge, huge lights. But they're all going on for all of us because as I'm coaching, I'm seeing this, and these magnificent light bulbs are shining on exactly what we need to see right now. So it's up to us to kind of look at them, to see them, and to allow ourselves to actually make this choice to be on the timeline that we want, that we truly know that we're meant for. Whether it be, you guys can make a choice right now, whether it be the health, the vitality, just truly kind of dialing into that, because I feel that really strongly in the field right now. Just really feeling like your health is like, and you knew this 2 years ago, that if you took care of your health, it was going to be game on. There's going to be no stopping you. It's not because you don't like the way you look or because people aren't going to take you seriously because you're a health coach or whatever. It's like you just know. You just know inside of you. And this is what we get to kind of dial into right now. So step 4 is we recode it, we shift it. This is where we get to do all our fun LRP, NLP, EFT, tapping. Did you used to do tapping? Did you like it? There's things that speak to each of us, right? There's modalities that speak to each of us that we've at one point or another just gone, yeah, I really like this. Let's bring that in a little bit, right? Let's do the things that really feel good. But above all, meditation. Let's meditate. And we're going to do step 5 when we're in that meditation and getting in alignment with this timeline. That's what true alignment is. That's why it's a line. It is being on that timeline that we truly know that we're meant for. And we're going to have this cosmic energy to just help us. So I'm going to give us a quick 10-minute meditation. I won't keep us in there for long because truly these quantum shifts, these timeline jumps, they've probably happened a few times already in this session where you've kind of been like, even drifting in and out. Certain things will really hit you hard. Certain things you didn't hear. Everything is happening in divine timing, and you are going to hear and feel exactly what you need to from getting into this space together. Because on a collective level, this is where we do big shifts and big timeline jumps. And that's why when you're on a big session, especially like Chris's sessions, he'll have sometimes 500-600 people in there. You can't help but do a quantum shift when you're in sessions like that. And I'm sure you guys have all felt that, where your body's rocking, you're somewhere else, there's something going on. You wake up, your vision's different. You've even heard him say that. Like like I'm often foggy or fuzzy after. That is a true timeline jump. That is what a timeline jump is. It takes a little while for our 3D body to catch up, but we are a soul on this journey. So let's get connected with our souls right now. I want you guys to just get as comfortable as you can wherever you are. We're going to go floating in the ethers right now. We're going to imagine that our body is as light as a feather. We are going to imagine right now that our body is nothing but this soul encapsulated in a body right now. And we're going to let go of that 3D body. We're going to imagine that we are a big pool of light. And I want you to just tune into your breath for a moment, just holding this light energy, just imagining as you're breathing gently in and out, that your cells are expanding and that you're almost being cradled. If you're in a chair, it's like you're being cradled, you're being rocked even, that you're just starting to tilt back and float. And I want you to imagine your floating body to start resonating light, like your cells as they start to get invigorated with your breath, bringing that breath into your body. Use your belly, expand your belly as you're breathing in. And as you're breathing out, deflate that whole belly. Just going to let go of any energies that are floating around, any thoughts that are floating around, any old codes, any old language, just choosing 100% to actually let those go from your body right now, letting them go from your DNA, simply making the choice. And when we say letting go, I mean let them just disperse off of your body. We've often done a spiritual bypass where we've actually just kind of tapped into the top 4 chakras of our body. We're going to go deep right now down into our root chakra, and my hands are just being drawn to send some energy work out there to you guys, like I'm being pulled. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that. And just allow your body to get connected with your root chakra right now. The base of your spine, the end of your tailbone, your pelvic floor. We're going to ground that root center down into the earth. The earth has these grids already laid out for us, all these timelines, in such a powerful and profound way. It's like you can notice as you're tapping into the earth's energy that there's a line of the matrix, a line of light energy that is your truest, highest timeline. And I want you to imagine right now that you have little roots growing out of your pelvis, growing out of your feet, starting to branch down to that earth's energy, almost like you're emitting this frequency now. And everything in that timeline and everything in that frequency is starting to be magnetized towards you. It's starting to be shown to you. It's starting to be drawn to you. And I want you to feel a connection as your root center grows tiny little roots and actually branches into that timeline. With each positive thought that you're having right now about the anticipation of what it is you're meant to do on this earthly plane as this expanding soul. Imagine creating ripples of change where a person actually had hope again because of you, where you actually had hope again because of you, where you were able to anticipate, what if this day is going to be the absolute best day I could have imagined? What if we tapped into the part of the journey that doesn't have to all come today, but the beauty of getting there, the little tidbits and breadcrumbs that we've been experiencing along the way? Having a little twitch in your muscle, having a twitch in your finger, maybe having a dream, maybe having something happen that has never happened already. What is possible? Know that all these timelines have infinite possibilities. What are you going to choose to receive from infinite possibilities? What if all of the abundance, all of the money that you've been waiting for is just around the corner? Imagine this timeline moving and collecting with each thought. It's like it's getting stronger, it's getting bigger. What are some of those things that just make you so happy, that you just love doing, that you just maybe want to do again, maybe even something you've never tried? What's something that's popped up in your head maybe lately? See someone jumping off a cliff in a good way, doing something so daring that you thought no one my age could ever do this, or doing something that you thought was almost utterly impossible. What if you chose the timeline of just receiving? Imagine the possibilities. What if you chose to just love your body? What if you actually chose the timeline of a really healthy feeling body? And notice, I'm seeing this happen in the field right now. As we choose these things, more things are showing up for you. Maybe you'd have some self-confidence in certain areas that you never did before. Maybe you would just feel good enough to have the energy to do more. Maybe you would just be overcoming an injury that allowed you to do something that you haven't allowed yourself to do because of this injury. What if that injury happened so that you could slow down to really see what you love because you were going so fast? You never would have allowed yourself to play in the field. What if we chose to slow down and meditate and actually take that time for ourselves every day to listen to what it is that we needed? What could happen if we actually allowed ourselves to go out in the yard and play without feeling bad, without wobbling? Just choose this. Just choose this timeline. Notice that it's almost like I can see like a brain neuron forming more and more neural pathways to this timeline so that it's so strong that it'll be harder to wobble off. And when you do, you'll notice that dissonance, you'll notice that contrast. And this is what contrast has been bringing up for you lately, to show you the things that aren't on your higher timeline. They're not a part of that timeline. That's why they don't fit. That's why they don't feel good. That's why they feel so yucky, so that you know enough now to quit letting that be a part of your timeline. That you can simply make a choice and jump back on this timeline that you want to see, feel, hear, smell. Let's go there. What do you smell on this higher timeline, this choice? This choice of allowing your soul to expand without stopping it. Truly allowing your soul to create the life you know you're meant for. You wouldn't want it if you weren't meant for it. It wouldn't be on your timeline if you weren't meant for it. This true, amazing timeline. You can jump back on the other timelines whenever you want, but oh, they don't feel as good as this one. And notice as it lights up that this light body that you have is just expanding into this timeline. And I want you to almost imagine your root chakra, that energy center down at the bottom of your pelvis, starting to glow with a beautiful red, balancing out, cleaning, clearing, transmuting, simply recalibrating to this new timeline. And imagine that beautiful red color pushing out any dark colors, any thoughts, any feelings that don't belong on this timeline. Simply allowing them to be drawn down into the other pathways, send them back to the timelines they were meant for. Send them back to those timelines. They're not needed on this one. You can bring wisdom if you need to. But it's beautiful wisdom, like, man, I never would have known that if it wasn't for this. What if I was meant to learn that exact thing right now? It's making so much sense. What if I was meant to really see this timeline right now, because I am really ready for it? If you said, I am really ready for it, I am really ready for it, and felt it every day, 100 times a day, let's magnify this 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100%. Let's magnify this. Really go into a choice that you want. Really go into a timeline you know you are meant for. You can see it. Who are the people around you? What do you hear? What do you feel? Feel love, feel anticipation, excitement, gratitude. What do you smell? Notice some of those smells that you smell right now. Maybe nature, it may be the sea, it may be an oil, it may be a scent or a flower. Just notice. You maybe even smell a perfume of someone from the past. Just notice. Ask yourself if there's any smells involved. What does it feel like? What is the texture? Are you in the grass? Are you wearing new clothes? Are you looking at your body and your face and just loving yourself? Are you feeling that true unconditional joy, peace and love to everyone, that true unconditional joy? I want you to feel into that for a moment. Throat chakra is clearing here. This is about what we're saying. This is about the codes that we're putting out. And I want you guys to really understand this right now, that throat chakra. Whew, that's clear. Being very clear with our words. So clear, in fact, that we know that the words we speak are creating worlds. They're creating timelines. They are creating the timeline that you're in. If your words are not satisfying to you or to someone else, they're likely not on your highest timeline. And for just a quick moment, I want the solar plexus and the sacral to get dialed in here too. We're just going to clear out these bottom three chakras, clearing, cleaning, transmuting the sacral and the solar plexus with a beautiful orange and yellow sunset, sunrise type of color. Allow these colors to just come through, washing through your body, washing through this light field. And as they do, I want you to imagine these light codes being able to actually transport your whole 5790 spiritual journey, spiritual being, spiritual realm into your new timeline. And I want you to almost feel it like a magnet, like there's a magnet. Every thought, every anticipation, every gratitude, every thought, every good feeling about where you're going. What if this is the best thing ever? I want you to just know that that's a magnet going right into your higher timeline. And I want you to feel your whole energetic being and body getting sucked into this beautiful, light, higher timeline. And as the colors are cleaning and clearing your sacral and your solar plexus, our truest wishes and desires are coming true. I want you to imagine some childhood dreams. We're going to sprinkle a little bit more in there. There's a bit more to go. Sprinkling in childhood dreams, those things that people tell you you're so good at, that they so appreciate about you. Maybe you didn't even see it yourself. Maybe you haven't received what they're telling you. It's the truth. What is the truth? What is the true highest timeline? Feeling loved, feeling admired, feeling adored, and adoring back. Don't you just love adoring something in someone? Ah, don't you just love loving? Don't you just love giving? Don't you just love receiving? Just feeling all that, sprinkling that all into the timeline. And I want you to think of it as a magnet, as a vacuum, and it's just drawing in all the energy, placing us safely into Mother Earth's energy, exactly where we're meant to be, exactly on this higher timeline. And notice the colors that come around there in that highest timeline. Notice it like a line in a grid, or for some, I see a train, someone's on a train. I see someone is on a stream, being pulled in a stream, that path of least resistance. if you were to truly follow that path of least resistance, just what you've always wanted, make that choice for yourself right now and just ask the superconscious field, what is the biggest thing that you could do, or the just one thing that you could do to be in true alignment with this beautiful highest timeline that you know you're meant for, that you know that you've been on. You've been experiencing it. If you've had deja vus, if you've had these things going on, you've been there. You've been there at least 100 times. Let's make it 100 a day. Let's make it strong. Let's hold true. Let's ask that superconscious field to show you what it really requires to allow your soul to fully expand and just receive, believing in yourself, truly believing in yourself. Just knowing that it can be, and just choosing that it can be. Play this game with yourself. Notice what kind of energy. If you're not sure, just notice if you were to name a Care Bear. Is it the grumpy stare? Is it moving so fast you can't keep track of it? You can stop and meditate and get back on the track of this truest, highest timeline. And as you feel that last bit of energy just dispersing into that beautiful timeline, getting vacuumed in there, notice that it is done. And so it is. And all is well. And when you're ready, and only when you're ready, you can take a nice receiving breath. And you can open your eyes. And that was a few minutes longer than I planned. Oh, but that felt really good. And I know some people are still in the field, still allowing that vacuum to literally. It was almost like I saw us as this galaxy, and then it just all of a sudden sort of started to be drawn in, wispy, like being drawn into this timeline. And then it turned into that picture of a neuron. The more we fire it, the more it wires, and the more we wire it, the more it fires, and the more we think these thoughts, and the more we allow ourselves to keep in that timeline that we want to create, to know that that is truly building our timeline. It'll help us to stay consistent, because we can just go, I almost slipped off into that other timeline again. Here I go. I don't want to, even if people are talking and, there's a lot of negativity around, there's a lot going on, we can truly choose to stay in that timeline that we know that we're meant for. I hope that was helpful. Oh, just noticed someone in the waiting room, and I feel terrible. I'll just let her in here quickly so that we can wrap up. I apologize, Kathy. I was deep in meditation there, and I had my eyes closed for probably the last 10 minutes, and I didn't see you in there. You're so welcome to be here. And we will have replays of this. So if you guys want to have a replay of this silly little meditation and repeat it on the daily, by all means, shoot me a message and I'll make sure you get a replay. But any meditation, there's so many ways to look at timeline jumping. A lot of times it's like looking at it in a movie screen, creating a movie. And so in Magnetic Mind, we often do where you're creating movie scenes. The important thing is us recognizing what it is that we're creating. I'm so glad. I'm so glad to have you guys here tonight. It felt like it was going to be just juicy in the information, because I know a lot of you have had experiences where you've jumped timelines, where you've literally woken up in that, like, I don't know where I am. I don't know. There's so many explanations for it. And so when we kind of know, oh, I was timeline jumping, it's not so crazy. Like, you don't have to completely understand quantum mechanics and quantum physics and all this kind of stuff to be able to jump timelines. Yeah, you jumped timelines. You were there. Love it, Lisa. It was necessary. It was. It was necessary. And it's so beautiful to be able to do that. And yeah, I just encourage you guys to just keep on keeping on, because on the other side of that resistance is just the most beautiful knowledge. And we're all meant to go find this knowledge too, be able to share this with other people, and to be able to do exactly what it is that we're meant to be here for, that whatever we want, we are allowed. It's almost a disservice to not let ourselves actually expand. This is what our soul is truly crying for. So with that, I will leave you guys. Feel free to, I love always after Friday night or Saturday night session, I always get the best messages, and people are just like sharing with what they felt. And it's very enlightening for me as well. And so I always welcome you to share with me on any groups that we're in or any messages that we're in. Thank you, Catherine. You are a true blessing too. And you guys you're such true blessings. This is just so beautiful, so beautiful. I love you guys so much. Have an amazing evening, and I look forward to next week. We're going to have a good old full moon meditation, and got some more fun in store for you guys. So we will see you next weekend. It's going to be on Saturday again. Much love, everybody. Good night.